Well, flash now, Ontario is on its way to a fiscal wake-up call this morning. A new report just out suggests the province is in far worse shape than cash-strapped California. And that's not all. It says Ontario could learn a thing or two from Greece if it wants to avoid a similar fiscal fate. Alex Gunn is in studio with more on that. Hi, Alex.
Morning, Pat. Well, this is shocking news. We know that Ontario is on a collision course with fiscal reality right now. There are some interesting numbers coming forward from the Fraser Institute report, and it basically suggests that Ontario's debt loads could swell as high as 66% by 2019 if the government doesn't rein in health and education spending. Some interesting figures we are seeing coming out of this report basically means that these are early financial warning signs that show that Ontario is in far worse shape debt-wise than cash-strapped California. Now, the report states that Ontario's total debt as of 2010 and 2011 was $236 billion compared to California's $143 billion. So Ontario's bonded debt is almost two-thirds larger than California's, even though California is a much larger jurisdiction in terms of size versus what we are seeing in Ontario. And I want to show you a few more numbers just to give you a clear indication of what we are seeing in comparison between California and Ontario. It's actually quite disturbing with some of these numbers when we take a closer look at them. Basically, simply put, across every comparable measure available, it's showing that Ontario's indebtedness is markedly worse than California's. Now, the report also concluded that Ontario's debt problem is not the same magnitude that prompted the drastic belt tightening in Greece, but the status quo for health and education spending is no longer acceptable. And Pat, you spoke with the Fraser Institute's president this morning, and you spoke a bit about how bad this can get. Take a listen.
Well, it can get really bad. I mean, let me give you a few stats. Currently in Ontario, the debt to GDP ratio is 38%. Greece was there at one point in time. In fact, Greece was there in 1984. In 10 years, Greece went from 38% debt to GDP ratio to 66%. Ontario is on track to be at 66% by the end of this decade. It will get there faster than Greece if the status quo continues. So,
exactly the same as Greece. Wow.
Well, exactly the same in 10 years as Greece. I mean, Greece is much higher now. Greece is at 160 something, but Ontario is on that road. And if it doesn't deal with the situation today, we could see the debt spin out of control. And what we're really doing then is leaving a legacy to the next generation.
And it's this legacy, Pat, that a lot of Ontarians are concerned about, specifically with Kathleen Wynne as she makes her way in as Premier Designate. And of course, we are looking to hear from her just what are her thoughts on this new report that came out by the Fraser Institute. Does she intend to rein in spending based on health and education? And what exactly does she hope to do to reform Ontario's spending system? She's definitely going to have to take a hard look at this report and take it as a wake-up call, because we are seeing some very disturbing numbers coming forward with this report, and no doubt, Pat, we are likely going to hear from Ontarians hoping that there is a sign of her consideration of this report, how she plans to rectify things in Ontario, because going the route of Greece is definitely not something we want to see here in Ontario. Pat?
Okay. Alex, thanks very much.
Thank you.